If you enjoy stories about secret alien wars, hidden technology, and humanity's quiet rebellion against galactic empires, consider subscribing. And as you listen, share your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done in their place? In the quiet stillness of deep space, a solitary figure floated inside the control chamber of Mining Station Alpha. Commander Jake Morrison, United Earth Terran Command, watched as titanic machines burrowed relentlessly into the surface of a seemingly ordinary asteroid. To the outside galaxy, this looked like routine mineral extraction. Nothing more than a mining crew carving out silicate and iron to meet council quotas. But beneath the surface, beneath the deception, something ancient and revolutionary was awakening. Jake pressed his gloved hand against the reinforced observation pane, staring past the safety glass and dust haze. 3 miles below his boots, entire excavation crews worked in silence, sculpting the asteroid's core not for resources, but for resurrection. They weren't mining, they were building. They were building Titan's hammer, the galaxy's first human-crafted planetary warship. "Commander," a voice floated from behind. Lieutenant Amy Chen. Young. Brilliant. Grim-faced. "We have a situation. Another inspection team from the Galactic Council. They'll be here in 6 hours." Jake turned, slowly. Unshaken. After 2 decades leading the most secret military operation in human history, moments like this no longer surprised him. "Tell Dr. Carter to activate the veil. I want false seismic echoes running within 5 minutes. Noise dampeners to full. And the surface crews, get them into costume." Mining Site 7, as it was called in official files, was a carefully fabricated illusion. On paper, it extracted magnesium ore for the Council's supply chain. In truth, it was a covert engineering facility dedicated to transforming asteroids, and eventually, planetoids, into machines of war. Titan's hammer was just the beginning. 15 years of deception. Thousands of personnel sworn to silence. And one goal, to ensure that humanity would never again kneel to alien power. In the asteroid's deepest core, Dr. Lisa Carter sat surrounded by holograms, her hands dancing across translucent controls. She was Earth's best-kept secret, the mind behind the stealth field technology that had fooled every alien sensor to date. Jake's voice came through her calm. "Lisa. We need the shroud online." "I'm already on it," she replied, her tone clipped and confident. "Give me 10 minutes and this rock'll scan like granite all the way through. They won't see a thing." Lisa's tech was decades ahead of anything the Galactic Council had. While the Council still relied on slow-burning fusion drives and reinforced metal hulls, Lisa had invented quantum stealth fields that could bend light and redirect gravity. The aliens had no idea what humanity had been building, piece by piece, in the cold dark edges of the solar system. Meanwhile, far across the void, buried deep in the dwarf planet Ceres, Admiral Ben Rodriguez sat in the nerve center of Earth's forbidden fleet. Holographic displays surrounded him, each showing the progress of massive construction sites, 12 in total, where asteroids were being reshaped into warships the size of small moons. "Sir," said Captain Steve Miller, "we've received another diplomatic transmission. The Zalani Empire is asking questions. They want to know why our mining operations have increased." Ben read the transmission silently. The words reeked of contempt and entitlement. The Zalani had always seen humans as children, fragile, clumsy, naive. What they didn't know, was that Earth had been quietly preparing for 50 years. "Send the usual response," Ben said. "Increased quotas. Council taxes. Routine expansion. Nothing more." The lie rolled off his tongue like muscle memory. For half a century, humanity had played its part in the Council's cosmic drama. The obedient species. The slow learners. Always a step behind. Always polite. But the act had been a mask. The truth? Every major nation on Earth had poured its best minds, machines, and soldiers into Project Titan. Scientists, engineers, underground AI architects, even artists, recruited to design decoy systems and artificial environments that could deceive the best alien auditors. This wasn't about war. This was about survival. 50 years ago, the Council made its first contact with Earth. What could have been a moment of interstellar unity instead became a dark turning point. Rather than recognize humanity as equals, the Council categorized Earth as a developing species. That classification sealed the planet's fate. Human expansion beyond the solar system was banned. Military R&D restricted. Tribute quotas enforced. Earth became a resource colony in everything but name. But what the Council misunderstood, what they always misunderstood, was humanity's tendency to unite in the face of extinction. They saw Earth's internal conflicts and assumed disunity. What they didn't see was the growing global alliance forming beneath the surface. And so, quietly, methodically, humanity began building the future, in shadows. Jake watched as the alien inspection ship slipped into orbit, a sleek crescent of purple alloys and antimatter vents, typical Council design. Efficient. Predictable. Stealth systems holding, came Lisa's voice in his ear. To their scanners, we're just dust and rock. Jake nodded, his heart steady. The alien vessel docked with the fake mining station at the surface. 3 Zilani inspectors stepped aboard, their elongated forms moving with cold, rigid precision. They radiated arrogance, as if nothing in this system could possibly surprise them. Jake greeted them with a bow and a rehearsed smile. "Welcome to Mining Site 7, he said in flawless Council dialect. "We're honored by your visit." The lead inspector, Stoll, narrowed his violet eyes. "Your mining efficiency has decreased by 12% this quarter. The Council expects better." Jake bowed again, suppressing the bile rising in his throat. "We've had complications with deep core excavation. We are correcting them." For 4 hours, the aliens scrutinized fake schematics, questioned actors trained to perform as surface engineers, and scanned dummy equipment built to simulate routine wear. Every question had a rehearsed answer. Every corridor, a plausible flaw. They never thought to scan deeper. They didn't know that just 300 meters beneath their feet, nestled inside reinforced carbon weave and gravitational armor, was a fully operational warship. Equipped with weapon systems powerful enough to split moons. As the alien ship finally undocked and drifted away, Jake returned to the true control center, hidden deep within the asteroid's core. Around him, status lights glowed green. On every screen, humanity's hidden empire grew stronger. "How long until Titan's hammer is ready?" he asked. 6 months, Dr. Carter replied. "But Jake, surveillance is increasing. They're starting to dig deeper." Jake stared at the fleet manifest. 12 warships in progress. Each the size of a city. Each forged in silence. Then he looked at Earth. "We won't get another 50 years, he said. "We may not even get 5. So we finish what we started." He turned toward the comm station. "And we make sure that the next time they come knocking, they find something waiting. If you've made it this far, thank you. This is just the beginning." In Part 2, the Galactic Council makes their move, and humanity finally responds. Subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter, and let me know in the comments, do you believe the Council was ever sincere? Or was Earth always a target? Before we begin, if you're enjoying this journey through the secret awakening of humanity, consider subscribing and sharing this video. It helps this kind of long-form speculative sci-fi reach others who appreciate slower, deeper stories about power, intelligence, and the turning of cosmic tides. Earth rotated in eerie silence beneath the looming shadow of the Galactic Council fleet. Over 3,000 ships encircled the planet, a metallic web of dominance stretching across space. Their weapons hummed with quiet menace, trained on every major city. The stars themselves seemed to dim beneath their presence. Ambassador Helen Brooke stood on the observation deck of the Council's flagship, her eyes fixed on the planet below. The Council ship was a marvel of alien architecture, crystalline structures suspended in magnetic fields, its corridors alive with bioluminescent circuitry. But none of it impressed her. Not anymore. "The Council has reached its final decision," came the voice of High Chancellor Vexer, his tall violet form casting a long shadow beside her. He held out a glowing data slate, as if it were a gift. Helen didn't need to read it. But she did. Her pulse slowed. Her face remained unreadable. 90% of humanity to be relocated to prison colonies. Earth reclassified as a Zalani colonial reserve. All human militaries dissolved. Any act of resistance to be met with planetary annihilation. She closed the file and nodded once, coldly. "These terms," she said, "are unacceptable." "There are no alternatives," came the voice of Admiral Stone, a Corvan warrior whose race had once flattened continents with plasma hammers. His eyes glinted with glee. "This is not a negotiation. It is a sentence." Helen requested to return to Earth to deliver the message. The Council granted it, believing that the game had already been won. As her shuttle slipped silently through orbit, she activated a quantum-secure transmission. "This is Ambassador Brooks," she whispered. "The package has been delivered. I repeat, the package has been delivered." Beneath the White House, 300 meters below, President Katie Williams received the message. She sat in a secure command chamber surrounded by generals, scientists, and world leaders. They had waited decades for this moment. "The final decision has been made," Katie said, staring directly into the comm display. "Admiral Rodriguez, you are authorized to initiate Operation Revelation." On Ceres, inside the icy halls of the Terran Command Vault, Admiral Ben Rodriguez received the order. His voice echoed across the control chamber, resonating through the carved stone walls like prophecy. "All stations, this is command," he said calmly. "Begin final countdown. All ships prepare for emergence." Across the solar system, in forgotten mining colonies, darkened moons, and quiet gas giants, the greatest secret in human history began to move. 11 celestial bodies shuddered with awakening. From beneath their crusts, hidden propulsion systems, silent for decades, roared to life. Gravitational drives unfurled like petals, bending spacetime around them. The solar system was alive with power, and the stars seemed to take notice. Titan's hammer was the first to stir. Commander Jake Morrison felt the vibration ripple through the hull, subtle but unmistakable. Artificial gravity stabilized, shifting the crew into Earth-normal conditions. Monitors flickered as dormant weapon systems hummed to life. "All departments report ready," said Lieutenant Amy Chen. Her voice, once strained, now brimmed with calm purpose. "We are go for emergence." Jake took a deep breath. He looked around at the faces of his crew, veterans of silence, architects of survival. They had spent years living in the shadows, carrying the weight of a civilization's rebirth. Now, they would rise. In engineering, Dr. Lisa Carter's fingers flew across the holopanels. Her life's work, the quantum cloaking systems, the gravity distortions, the automated self-repair arrays, all were holding steady. "Transition complete," she reported. "All systems green. We're ready for full reveal." Above Earth, the alien fleet tightened formation. Their ships bristled, sensing something off. Fleet Admiral Stone, reviewing Earth's official fleet roster, a mere 200 aging vessels, barely raised an eyebrow when his sensors began picking up anomalies. "Sir," his chief science officer said, "we're detecting unstable gravitational waves. Multiple sources. Could be solar interference." Stone didn't look up. "Ignore it. Earth's tech always throws junk readings." But the readings grew stronger. And then, something impossible happened. The Council fleet shimmered in place as space itself began to bend. Pockets of black distortion tore across the void, rippling like oil in water. Then, without sound, without light, 12 objects emerged. Each the size of a moon. Each bearing the seal of Earth. Admiral Rodriguez's voice thundered across every known channel in Council space. Attention Galactic Council fleet. This is Admiral Ben Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force. The Sol system belongs to humanity. You have 1 hour to leave, or face the consequences. Stone burst into laughter. You arrogant fool, he barked. You're outnumbered 15 to 1. Your little show of holograms means nothing. We'll glass every city on that planet in an hour. But before the threat could finish echoing, the Council's flagship sensors screamed. Sir, cried the tactical officer. Massive distortions across the board. They're real. Those ships, they're real. 12 massive warships now stood between Earth and annihilation. Titan's hammer took point. On the bridge, Jake stood calm, hands folded behind his back. All weapon arrays ready, Amy Chen reported. Shields at full. Jake narrowed his eyes. For 50 years, they laughed at us. Mocked us. Controlled us. He looked at the alien fleet, a force that once seemed invincible. They thought we were blind. Primitive. Helpless. A beat of silence. Let's introduce ourselves properly, he said. Target the flagship. From Lisa Carter's engineering deck, the quantum armor plating surged with energy. Gravitational shields twisted space around the hull, making the ship seem to shimmer out of phase with reality. Engineering to bridge, she called. All systems stable. Ready for combat. The Council fleet opened fire first, 3,000 ships launching plasma, ion bursts, antimatter warheads. A wave of destruction that could have sterilized a planet. But the Terran ships didn't budge. Gravitational fields absorbed, redirected, or diffused every beam. Every warhead veered off course or dissolved in a field of bent time. Then, Earth struck back. From 12 colossal vessels came light. Not sunlight. Not flame. Stars. Artificial stars born of focused quantum singularities, burning brighter than 1,000 suns. Weapons capable of mimicking the destructive output of dying stars, compressed into beams as wide as continents. The alien fleet vanished. Entire formations erased from existence. Ships built over centuries were turned to ash in seconds. Captain Steve Parker, commanding the warship Colossus from the shadows of Jupiter, watched in awe. Enemy Formation 7, vaporized, his weapons officer said. Steve nodded. Target their command vessels next. One by one, the Council's greatest ships were silenced. They tried to retreat. But humanity's new ships didn't obey physics. Their gravitational drives allowed them to shift position instantaneously, like ghosts flickering between dimensions. There was no escape. On Earth, civilians looked skyward and saw the heavens erupt. Ambassador Brooks stood among the ruins of politics, watching light tear across the night sky. Ma'am, her aide said, eyes wide, we're receiving surrender requests from multiple Council vessels. Helen didn't blink. Tell them to contact Admiral Rodriguez, she said. This is a military matter now. And that was just the opening move. In Part 3, we'll explore the fallout of Earth's revelation. The galaxy scrambles to respond, empires collapse, and humanity must decide what kind of force it will become. Subscribe to follow the final chapter, and let me know in the comments. Do you think humanity's rise will bring peace, or something far more dangerous? If you've made it this far, thank you for joining this long-form journey. Remember to subscribe if you want more stories like this, slow, thoughtful science fiction that wrestles with the edges of human destiny. Leave a comment below. What would you do with the power to shape a galaxy? The news of humanity's ascension spread across the stars like a virus, fast, destabilizing, and impossible to ignore. Within hours, every major civilization knew Earth had survived. The Council fleet had not. 12 ships the size of moons had ripped apart the greatest military force in galactic history, and had done it effortlessly. On the capital world of the Zalani Empire, Emperor Vexor sat in stunned silence. The crystal skylight above him shimmered with information feeds, each reporting the same impossible event: over 2,000 ships destroyed. Earth untouched. Fleet Admiral Stone in critical condition. He read the reports 3 times, his claws twitching in disbelief. "This cannot be true," he muttered. "Your Majesty," said his military advisor, barely able to meet his gaze. The survivors all confirmed the same story. "The Terrans have technology we can't explain. Ships the size of moons. Weapons that collapse gravity itself." Vexor stood from his obsidian throne. "If they could build that in secret, what else have they built?" No one answered. For the first time in his long reign, the Emperor of the Zalani felt something alien: fear. Far from the wreckage of the Council fleet, Captain Amy Foster guided the planet ship Goliath through hyperspace. Her mission, a demonstration of power. A peaceful visit, backed by the unmistakable threat of annihilation. The Goliath emerged from hyperspace 3 days later, hovering just outside the Zalani homeworld's defense perimeter. Immediately, sirens shrieked across their systems. Hundreds of defense platforms armed themselves. Thousands of weapons locked onto the Terran ship. The Goliath did not fire. "Attention Zalani forces," Amy broadcast. "This is Captain Foster of the Terran Defense Force. We come in peace, but we are not alone." The alien commander, a 4-eyed noble in a rusted command chair, replied slowly. "You are in violation of Zalani space. State your purpose." "We are here to offer an alternative," Amy said. "You can choose to coexist with us, or continue down the path of domination. But know this, humanity will never bow again." Meanwhile, Captain Steve Parker of the Colossus had penetrated deep into what was left of Council territory. His mission: gather intelligence on any remaining threats. What he discovered shook him to the core. "Sir," his sensor officer said, pointing at dozens of encrypted energy signatures, "they're building again. Hidden construction yards. New weapons. Massive power signatures across dozens of systems." Steve leaned in. "How long?" "Some of these projects go back 20 years. They were preparing, just like us. The Council hadn't been idle. They, too, had been hiding things. The first battle was over. But the real war was just beginning." Aboard the Terran flagship New Olympus, Dr. Lisa Carter stared at the sensor data pouring in. It was worse than she had expected. "They're building graviton lances," she told her team. "Shield phasing disruptors. Even rudimentary black hole bombs." Her eyes narrowed. "They've learned from us. Now we must evolve again." Her next project was already underway, a weapon that could collapse a star system into a singularity. Not out of desire, but necessity. "This is the edge," she whispered. "The razor between power and annihilation." President Katie Williams stood before the new United Nations Assembly, now expanded to include dozens of alien delegates. Her speech was broadcast in hundreds of languages across thousands of worlds. She didn't wear military medals or a crown. Only the seal of Earth on her lapel. "Humanity extends the hand of friendship," she said. "To every civilization willing to live in peace. We do not seek conquest. But we will not accept slavery." She paused. "This galaxy has lived under the shadow of power unchecked. Of hierarchies enforced through fear. That age ends now. Many species cheered. Others prepared for war. The Terran Accords, proposed weeks later, outlined a new vision: no species above another. No planet exploited by a stronger neighbor. Equal voice. Equal protection. Some civilizations, like the Alter-Ion Republic and Centauri Federation, joined instantly. Others, the Corvan Federation, the remnants of the Council, saw it as heresy. War was inevitable. In the Outer Rim, Goliath intercepted a distress signal. Raiders had attacked a refugee convoy, enslaving thousands from weaker species. It was the kind of atrocity the old Council had ignored for centuries. Captain Amy Foster ordered full assault. The Goliath emerged over the raider base. The pirates launched everything they had. None of it mattered. Amy gave them one warning. They fired anyway. Seconds later, the entire fleet and base vanished, consumed by a directed gravitational beam that left no wreckage. Justice had a new face. And it bore the emblem of Earth. In the void beyond the galactic rim, Lisa Carter's new weapon went online. A synthetic singularity hovered in containment. A tool capable of destroying a star. But she knew the truth. This is not peacekeeping, she said to Rodriguez during a secure briefing. This is deterrence. If we use it, the galaxy will burn. Rodriguez nodded. Then we make sure we never have to. Katie Williams became the first ambassador of the Terran Accords. Her planet ship escort made sure no one questioned her authority. Species that had never sat at the same table were now negotiating trade routes and defense agreements. Former enemies worked side by side. Slaves became diplomats. Tyrants faded into irrelevance. But peace had a price. The Corvan Federation refused to join the Accords. They spent months preparing the largest fleet since the fall of the Council. Over 3,000 ships. Allied forces. Secret weapons. Fleet Marshal Korak believed he had found humanity's weakness: the planet ships were few. If he could destroy them quickly, he could crush the rebellion. They emerged at the edge of Terran space, weapons hot. Waiting for them was one ship, the Colossus. Captain Steve Parker opened a channel. Corvan Fleet. You are trespassing in Terran space. Leave now or face destruction. The Corvan Admiral laughed. One ship against 3,000. We expected arrogance. But this is madness. Steve gave one last look at the crew who had prepared their entire lives for this moment. We warned you, he said. The Colossus fired. In less than an hour, the Corvan fleet ceased to exist. Lisa Carter's new weapons had turned space itself into a battlefield. Black hole bursts swallowed entire formations. Gravitational shear waves ripped ships apart atom by atom. No survivors. No mercy. The galaxy shuddered. From that day forward, no fleet dared violate Terran space. Commander Jake Morrison stood aboard Titan's hammer, watching the stars shift around them. Ahead, a new system. A primitive world. A species unaware of the wider galaxy. Sir, said his officer, they're scanning us. Their tech is basic. But curious. Jake nodded. Time for first contact. To the species below, it would look like a drifting moon. But soon, they would meet the guardians of peace, humanity, no longer hidden, no longer weak. Not conquerors. Not slaves. Something new. Something transcendent. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe for more slow-paced, philosophical science fiction. Drop a comment. What do you think the galaxy will look like under Terran leadership? Is peace possible with this kind of power? Or have we simply built better chains?